Welcome to the doctor's edition of our Wakana Zoom. I am Dr. Kimberly Smith-Dotrieve. I am just filling in for Dr. Rita. She will be back next week. And I am going to talk with you this evening about the mental health pandemic that is going on. We've had so much since COVID started. We had a lot already going on before COVID. And since COVID, we've had just too much more. People who've been pretty much isolated in their homes, people who count on physical interactions. I myself am an introvert. So I have to be honest and say that COVID for me has been pretty comfortable. I mean, I honestly like being at my house with my family. But there are people who are extroverts who need the interaction of people out there in the community. And for them to be stuck in the house was not such a wonderful thing. We also found so many people who were stuck at home in abusive relationships, abusive parents for kids, people who relied on school so that they could go to work knowing that their kids were taken care of. Now their kids are home and there's a choice that has to be made. What am I going to do? Because I need to go to work and my kids need to be home. So there was so much going on and so much depression, anxiety. The suicide rate went up, which is such a horrible thing. And I want to talk to you tonight about how CBD and our endocannabinoid system really can play a very significant role in helping out those of you who have been suffering with anxiety and depression and grief. Grief is such a horrible thing. It is normal. However, society has made grief into a bad name. It made it a dirty word. When you think about grief and grieving the loss of loved ones, when you cry, what is the first thing people say? Oh, don't cry. Why not? Crying is purging. When you start talking about your loved one and how you miss them so much, what do people say? Oh, baby, you need to move on. Why? Why do I have to move on right now? If I'm not ready to move on, please do not force me to move on. Grief is an individual thing. Not everybody grieves the same way. However, our society has made it into such a thing that everybody is expected to grieve the same. Don't cry in front of people because you might make them feel bad. Don't keep grieving your loved one because you really need to move on. All of this ends up being your grief making other people uncomfortable. So you suppress your grief. And what ends up happening is it turns into a mental health catastrophe because you're not able to grieve properly. And because you aren't grieving properly, you hold on to that grief forever and ever, and it affects every relationship you're going to have for the rest of your life if it's not done properly. So I want to bring to you some facts about mental health. And anybody, if we have some of our medical panel, medical advisory board members who are present, please feel free to come on board and just give us some of your insight as well. So first and foremost, let's talk about the definition of mental health. Mental health actually includes emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects the way we feel, the way we think, and the way we act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through adulthood. We tend to put kids on the side, right? We don't take into consideration how children feel about things because they're just children. Guess what? The way we allow our children to handle emotional stress, the way we allow them to express that emotional distress determines how they handle emotional distress as teenagers, as young adults, as adults, and as our elderly. And if we don't give them the proper direction, if we don't allow them to express themselves the way they need to express themselves, that can be a train wreck. So the most common mental health disorders that we deal with in the United States of America are anxiety, depression, psychotic disorders like bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, dementia, including Alzheimer's disease, and eating disorders. Our 2020 statistics show us that 55 million or 55.7 million office visits were due to mental health disorders as a primary diagnosis. ER visits were about 5 million when it came to mental health disorders as a primary disorder. I'm sorry, I'm so tongue-tied. Of those, approximately 60 million people who sought some type of evaluation and treatment for mental health disorders, only 20% of them actually received treatment. So if you look at these numbers here, that means that only about 12 million out of the 60 million Americans who went to either their primary care doctor or the ER for a mental health disorder were actually treated. That's horrible. And when we look at the breakdown, first by race, we see that of those who received treatment, 24.4% were Caucasian, 15.3% were Blacks, 12.6% were Hispanics, and 7.7% were Asian. And when you break it down into those who actually took medicine as treatment and or received counseling as treatment, the trend was still the same. Minorities are not treated, are not receiving treatment far less than our counterparts. And that is horrible. And we know that it is a cultural thing. It's a horrible cultural thing because we know that in our culture, it is said that we don't seek out counseling. We don't take medicine. Nobody wants to take the crazy pill. And my response to that is always, if somebody is out there saying, oh, you don't want to be on that crazy pill, that's probably somebody that needs to be on the crazy pill. Number one is not a crazy pill. It is a pill that helps us to keep our emotions in check. It's a pill that helps us to not overthink, to overanalyze. It's a pill that helps us to not feel so much rage and that emotional overload that ultimately ends up affecting every relationship we have in every aspect of our lives. So we have to get out of the mindset that we don't need treatment. We do. Most people do. And when we look at it from a gender standpoint, we see that more women than men will seek out treatment for mental health disorders. So we have in general 25.6% women seeking help as opposed to 14.6% men, because what men are supposed to be strong, they're the providers, they're supposed to be the stronger species. Well, guess what? When it comes to mental health, when it comes to the brain, we are all on the same level. We're all on the same playing field. And if you do not seek out the right care, if you don't get the treatment, whether it is prescription medicine or counseling or both, you will find yourself in a very bad position. When we look at this based on age, we see that those who are in that Gen Z area, they are going to get care greater than the Gen X and then greater than the elderly. Because as the newer generations come in, the newer generations are realizing that I need help. And they are more likely to seek the help of a counselor. They are more likely to take medication. But let me show you something that's even worse. Look at the suicide rate. We have suicide as early as 10 to 14 years old. So while we're sticking with our culture of you don't need help, you don't need to talk to anybody, our people are suffering. Our children are suffering. Why? How in the world could a 10 to 14-year-old child contemplate suicide? This is such a horrible position that we're putting our kids in right now. Social media, it has a whole lot of great benefits, but on the level when we look at our kids, it's so horrible because social media allows so many people to be bullies, right? People can say what they want. They can be bullies on social media. People say things on social media that they would never say face to face. Our kids are suffering because they are being cyberbullied. And if you're not paying close enough attention, you're not going to notice those subtle changes in your child that lets you know that something may be going on, because while they may be the ones who will seek out treatment first, and they're more willing to take medication and more willing to seek out to see the counselor, they may not be so willing to come to you and let you know that somebody is bullying them, somebody is calling them ugly or fat, somebody is making them feel like they don't belong. And it is horrible. When I saw that statistics, this is not good. We have to be more in tune with what is going on with our kids. We need to pay attention to them. We need to make sure that they are in a good space. If you start to realize that your kids are withdrawing, if they're talking less, if they're not as happy, find out what is going on. And this is 10 to 14, but look, 15 to 24, it's significantly worse. 25 to 34, significantly worse. And you would think that the elderly would be in a good place, but look at the numbers in the elderly. This is a significant issue in our community. We have to be able to do something about this. And doing something about it simply means we need to be more aware of what's going on with our loved ones. We have to get past that stigma that seeking out a mental health counselor is a bad thing. That's not a negative thing. It is a wonderful, a positive thing, because when you seek out help, you are going to be better mentally. It always has amazed me, or actually baffled me, that somebody will come in because they're having chest pain, because, oh, my heart, something's going on with my heart. If they can't breathe, oh, please check my lungs. Something's going on with my lungs. Oh, my sugar's high. Please treat my sugar. But if something is going on with this, oh no, you need to pray more. You need to go to church more. You must not be close enough to God. Oh, you ought to be able to beat this. Your brain is an organ just like every other organ in your body. But the problem is, your heart, if you start having chest pain, you're going to automatically go and seek help. If you can't breathe, you're going to automatically go out and seek help. If you are having anxiety and if you are depressed and you keep that to yourself, nobody can see that. And the problem is, when we make people feel bad about talking about their emotional distress, we are a part of the problem. So we need to stop that negative stigma. We need to stop people in their tracks when they talk about a crazy pill. There's no such thing as a crazy pill. We want to encourage our people to get the help that they need. So what is grief? Grief is a strong emotional response to loss. Everybody has had to deal with grief. And grief is not just about losing someone to death. There are so many different losses that we have to deal with throughout our lifetime. There are over 40 different kinds of losses. Death is a major thing, But people also suffer from the loss when there's a divorce, there's marital separation, when a new family member comes. You might be the only child, and all of a sudden you have a new brother or sister, and you like being an only child. Or you have siblings, and all of a sudden maybe your parent remarries, and now you have extra siblings. Jobs, you change jobs, you get a promotion. I can't tell you the number of people I've had to counsel and treat medically when they've had a promotion, because they have to leave their friends behind. And while they're happy and they are thinking it's all going to be wonderful,
Dr. Kim, you're
they
frozen.
finally realize that the people they left behind aren't quite so happy about their promotion, and they aren't doing. Oh,
Dr. Kim, your connection seems to be going in and out.
oh, shoot, let's see.
We
Am
can
I
hear
still
you.
frozen?
Nope, we can
Hello,
hear you.
hello.
We can hear you.
Oh, why am I frozen?
No, you're not. You're
Mm,
good. Can you hear me?
Hello. Oh, you okay? All right. No. Okay. Yes. So there's so many different losses that people have to endure. Even going from high school to college, leaving your family's home. So the way we're allowed to deal with stress, again, from the time that we are little, determines how we deal with stress and grief when we get older. The way we look at it from a grief standpoint is every loss that we endure from our childhood throughout our lives becomes a rock. And that rock is put in an imaginary backpack that we carry on our backs. And imagine how many rocks you are carrying around in that imaginary backpack by the time you become a young adult, by the time you reach 30, by the time you're middle aged. It can be quite heavy if you do not know how to deal with that loss. So, what can we do about it? We need to be able to normalize the concept and emotions of grief. Grief is normal and natural. We need to encourage grievers to talk about their feelings because it is normal and natural. And if you don't feel comfortable around somebody who is crying because they are grieving, then honestly, you need to make the exit. You shouldn't tell them, don't cry. You shouldn't tell them you need to move on. You shouldn't tell them you have to be strong. We need to encourage grievers to be able to talk about their feelings, because the more they're able to talk about their feelings, the more they're able to purge, and the better that they will feel in the long run. And number three, you need to be an empathetic listener. So many times people are grieving and people want to say, I know how you feel. Okay, stop. So many times people are grieving and somebody wants to come and put in their, their 2 cents about it. This is their grief, their time. I had a patient tell me recently she lost her son about 5 years ago. She told me that it's still hard for her to talk about it because every single time she says, oh, I miss my son so much, whoever she's talking to chimes in and says, oh, I know, I miss him so much too. He used to do la, 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 la. She can't have her moment to just express her grief. People who are grieving need somebody to be a heart with ears, no mouth, a heart with ears, listeners who would just let them purge and let them get out all the emotions that they are feeling. That is how you help a griever. Try to avoid these phrases. I know how you feel. Grief is an individual thing. I lost my son. There may be somebody else listening who lost their child. My experience is not going to be the same as their experience. So you don't really know how I feel because my experience is based on my relationship with my son. Yours is based on your relationship with your child. They're in a better place. This is called an intellectual comment. While it might be true, it doesn't make grievers feel better. People would tell me all the time, oh, God must have needed an angel. And I'm not going to lie to you, I really got to the point where I wanted to throw punch some people. Why? Because I want my angel here with me. And while it might be true that God wanted Papa there, and I know undoubtedly that my Papa Bear is in heaven, and I know he's having a wonderful, wonderful time. I want him here with me. So somebody telling me that God wanted an angel doesn't help. Number 3, you shouldn't feel bad or you shouldn't feel guilty. Please do not tell a griever how they should feel. Which is number 4, you must be feeling. Don't assume that you understand how anybody is feeling. Because again, everybody grieves in a different way. My husband and I, we both lost our son. And I know my grief is different from his. Number 5, you should be grateful that. Horrible. Because, I think about my mom for this statement when my mom had cancer. And honestly, I was grateful that she wasn't suffering anymore. But still, I missed my mom. So you saying that to someone, you should be grateful they're not suffering anymore, that doesn't help. It was God's will. Again, another intellectual comment. It might have been God's will. But again, if somebody is hurting, that's not what they want to hear. And God never gives us more than we can bear. That's a lie. Yes, he does. He gives us more than we can bear so that we remember that we need to always be relying on him. All of these things are things that we have just through the years, from generation to generation. We've handed these different phrases down to our kids and our grandkids. This is how we have always handled grief, how we've tried to comfort people, but these are not comforting things. We want to be able to truly help people out who are grieving, because that grief can really rob you of your life. People who hold on to grief, they will not fulfill their purpose in life. So what role does CBD play in grief? Well, grief is something that can lead to a whole lot of depression and a whole lot of anxiety. When I tell you grief can rob you of your life, I mean it can rob you of your life. I know so many people who mama died 30 years ago, and today they are still in prison by the grief they are feeling because mama died 30 years ago. We want to be able to grieve properly. CBD, in my opinion, is a great substance that will help us to get beyond these emotional turmoils that are left behind. Unresolved grief is what leads to us never fulfilling our potential. So if we're able to deal with that grief, then we can definitely be able to get to a better place. We can reach our full potential. Because honestly, think about it. If God still has us here, he has us here for a reason. So the role that CBD can play in grief and anxiety and stress, it increases the serotonin level. It's the neurotransmitter that is our happy neurotransmitter. It makes you feel better. For people who stress eat, whenever you're eating, it actually is boosting your serotonin level, and that's why you feel better for a little bit of time. Number 2, it can help with a deeper, more restful sleep by increasing your serotonin. So it's the serotonin that allows us to have that restful sleep. And CBD can help us get to that REM sleep that we need. In our REM sleep, that is when our organs are able to recuperate. That is when everything is able to have cellular repair, because cells are being damaged throughout the day. So if you can get into your REM sleep and stay there like we're supposed to for 7 to 9 hours, That's when cellular repair is happening. That's when our organs are able to recuperate. Number three, CBD reduces this dopamine surge that usually accompanies mental health disorders. When you have too much dopamine, we're talking about somebody who was on 10,000. We have anger issues. We're out of the box. We have no comprehension of right and wrong. That's where addictive properties come from. We don't want that dopamine surge to happen. We want to be able to suppress it, and that is what CBD is, and concentration. And that is another dopamine issue. So it helps to keep our dopamine level even keel, where we can maintain our focus, we can maintain our concentration, we can get our tasks completed, we can get our work done. And it inhibits pro-inflammatory neurotransmitters from lingering. So one of the things that happens with stress is that it causes the secretion of adrenaline, of cortisol, of norepinephrine. These substances actually are anti-inflammatory when they are present in short durations. Think about your fight or flight, the parasympathetic nervous system. If you encounter, let's say, a snake in a yard, automatically your stress level goes up, your body starts to secrete adrenaline, norepinephrine, and cortisol. The point of that is to increase the healthiness and the potential of your muscles so that you can fight or you can flight, you can run away. That's our fight or flight mechanism. But the role of those neurotransmitters in that time is to increase blood supply and oxygen to your muscles so you can fight if you need to fight, or you can run away if you need to run away. It becomes it becomes pro-inflammatory when those neurotransmitters are hanging around for too long. So if the snake is there, you get a surge of those neurotransmitters, and once it's done, those neurotransmitters go away. That's how it's supposed to happen. But when you're in stress, minute after minute, hour after hour, day after day, those neurotransmitters are up here for way too long. And when they're up here for so long, they change from being anti-inflammatory to pro-inflammatory. And so they increase inflammation in your blood vessels. They increase the acceleration of blockage formation. They increase plaque formation in your blood vessels. They increase inflammation in your organs. And that increase in inflammation typically leads to organ damage in the long run. So CBD, it inhibits that pro-inflammatory phase. It can help suppress that pro-inflammatory stage so that when you're supposed to be at a lower level of neurotransmitters, you are there. So CBD is helping to maintain a lower inflammatory state throughout the body. How does it do that? Well, with our endocannabinoid system. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, researchers actually found out that every human being has an endocannabinoid system. What does that mean? We have a series of organs, those that you see here and others, that actually have receptors for CBD. And that means when you ingest CBD in any form, the CBD gets into your system, it will search around to see where it is needed, and it will bind there. So if it's needed in the brain, it'll bind in the brain, relieve inflammation, relieve anxiety, relieve depression, relieve your inability to sleep. It can bind in the heart and blood vessels, and it can relieve the inflammation there, and it can help lower your blood pressure. It can help prevent, or it can assist in helping to prevent the formation of those transmitters that can lead to heart failure. In your pancreas, it can relieve inflammation and allow the pancreas to produce far more insulin than it had been producing to help lower your blood sugar. And definitely it can bind in your muscles and it can relieve inflammation there and help with pain that you're having. There's so many different things that CBD can do when it binds to these different organs in our endocannabinoid system. And in doing so, you get balance throughout the body. That is the major thing that I want to talk about here. When you have that balance, you don't have to worry about the side effects that I worry about when I give prescription medication sometimes. So when I talk about blood pressure, I can give lisinopril, for example, and it will absolutely help the blood pressure. But I also have to give my patients a warning that if you start having lip swelling, if you start having any kind of swelling in your throat, I'm sorry, I'm moving around because I need to get my charger. If you start having anything that seems like your lip or your tongue is swelling, you need to let me know immediately, because that potentially could mean that your lisinopril is causing a horrible, horrible side effect. Well, what I did learn when we started using CBD in my family, particularly with my husband, we use the CBD for his pain. So he's taking the CBD. It's definitely looking around to see where it's needed. It targets his muscles and it helps his neck pain. It helps his knee pain. But 3 months down the line, he starts telling me he's feeling dizzy. Well, check his blood pressure, and his top number for his blood pressure was down to 103 when he was moving around. So I had to take him off of his blood pressure medicine. It's been a year now that he has not had to take any prescription blood pressure medicine because the CBD has had his blood pressure under control since he started using it. That is what the endocannabinoid system and CBD is able to do for us as a whole. We're talking about CBD, a natural substance that we can use for major medical issues. That is why I love the Wakana products so much. And that is why I am a distributor and why I just love this company and the vision that they have. We're able to treat patients with natural products that are significantly helping to reverse disease processes in their body. Now, when it comes to CBD, I need you to remember all CBD is not the same. So what kind of products I stand by, because I know that they are made to be the highest quality products, that they are third-party tested by a lab that specializes in hemp to make sure that we have exactly what we're supposed to have and nothing more. No chemicals and pesticides that are not supposed to be there, but also to make sure that we have all products that are in agreement with the federal regulations. That is what we get with all of our Wakana products. The greatest quality, and I know this because so many of my patients, once I partnered with Wakana, so many of my patients then let me know, well, doc, I've been taking CBD products. Well, when they tried the Wakana products, after they had already been taking products from the local CBD stores, patients have let me know how much better the Wakana products are. Matter of fact, I had a patient yesterday talking about the flower. And this is somebody who has been on medical marijuana for months and months for his chronic pain. He said that the medical marijuana, he can feel it and it makes him feel more tired and sedated, but you know, it gets him through the pain because he's more sedated and he doesn't have to really feel it. But when he tried the Wakana flower, he said he literally, in a matter of a minute, he could feel it moving throughout his body and he could feel the difference right away. So that's a major, major win for Wakana, because it just simply says that we definitely have the highest quality products that anybody can ask for. With our products, I want to make sure everybody understands that we do have two lines. We have a power line and a pure line. So federally, all CBD products can have up to 0.3% THC. Well, that doesn't mean that your employer is going to allow you to have that 0.3% THC. So for those of you who have to submit drug testing, random or voluntary, you want to stick with the pure line. Our pure line has as much of the THC extracted as possible so that you have 0.0% THC. So you should not have any issues passing your drug screens. Those of you who do not have to do drug screens, our power line is going to be for you. Now, looking at our products, I want to bring you through our power line to show you the different types of CBD products we have. First up, we have our Power Hemp MD. It is our strongest tincture. Tincture is an oil. You start off with 3 drops under your tongue. You let it sit there for about 2 minutes, and then you swallow. Tinctures are going to get into your system in about an hour, or it's going to reach its peak in about an hour, and they're going to last for about 4 hours. Our power gummies are full spectrum here with the power gummies, meaning it does have up to 0.3% THC. Our gummies are infused with CBD. That means every bite of CBD you take is every bite of that gummy you take is filled with CBD. That's what makes our gummies more potent than what you're going to probably get at your local stores. So with our gummies, you want to start with 1/4. Listen, please don't test the power gummies because they have won over and over and over again. 1/4 is all you need. And I don't care if you're 250 pounds, 6 feet tall, please still start with 1/4 of a gummy. And to be safe, I always tell my customers and my patients, when you get your gummies, cut them in 4 and then put them back in a bottle. That way you know you're not going to make a mistake. But our gummies, they will get to their peak in about 4 hours and last for about 8 to 12 hours. Our premium flower, our Smokeable Hemp, this is the fastest way you can get CBD into your system. 2 or 3 puffs, and that CBD is in your system in as little as 1 minute. And our Power Extreme Pain Cream, still my favorite product. This here you can rub topically on any area of your body that you're hurting, and it will start to work in 5 to 15 minutes. So these products here, when we're thinking about our medical issues, when we think about high blood pressure, diabetes, autoimmune disorders like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and scleroderma, even disorders such as COPD and asthma, you definitely want to make sure that twice a day, every day, you're using the tincture and the gummy. 3 drops of the tincture under the tongue, let it sit there for 2 minutes, then swallow, and 1/4 of a gummy every morning and every night. When you do that, we call it layering. That tincture, like I said, it's going to get into your system and it's going to peak at about an hour. And it's going to last for about 4 hours. And when that tincture is wearing off, the power gummy is going to kick in 4 hours and reach its peak, and it'll last for 8 to 12 hours. So when you do this twice a day, this is allowing you to have a steady stream of CBD 24 hours, 7 days a week, and it allows you to have the best relief of your medical issue that you can have. Now, for high blood pressure, diabetes, the tincture and the gummy is perfect. When we talk about pain, you need to add in the Power Extreme Pain Cream, because applying that pain cream to the area where you're hurting twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, it depends on how long it's lasting for you. You're gonna definitely need the addition of the Power Extreme Pain Cream. Now, I actually have people who suffer with migraines. And when their migraines are more in the temple area and they rub a little bit of that Power Extreme Pain Cream on their temples, I was amazed to find out that it actually helps them with their headaches as well. Now, when you add into this anxiety, or acute pain. Let's say you fell and you hurt your ankle or you broke a bone. That's where that premium flour is going to come in. When you need something to work quickly, somebody brings bad news to you, you're stressed. Somebody is procrastinating and they bring things to you last minute and you're stressed. Somebody just pisses you off and you're mad and stressed. 2 or 3 puffs of that premium flour will actually, you'll feel that zen taking over from head to toe in as little as 1 minute. So layering, using all of the products depending on your medical issue, using all of them together, all of them peak at different times and they last for different times. But you want to use them together so that you have the best steady state of CBD in your system throughout the day. Gummies, we have a wide assortment of gummies. We're hitter. It is the main product in our sexual wellness line. King of the Jungle is going to help you. It's called King of the Jungle, but it can be Queen of the Jungle as well. It can be for men and women, but definitely a good option for those who want to stay away from Viagra, Cialis, medicines that actually can help. Can cause a significant drop in your blood pressure and can cause cardiac arrest. We don't have those worries with King of the Jungle. You can get that same fulfillment that you're looking for without the worry that your heart's going to stop. The Flight Delta 8 gummies, there's a caution sign over them because they are the closest thing that we have to the real deal. Marijuana is Delta 9. This, what we have here that is federally legal, is Delta 8. So they are very, very similar. You can get similar effects with both, but the Delta 8 doesn't give you as much of that psychotropic effect. It actually takes up to 10 times the amount of Delta 8 to get to what Delta 9 can do. But the caution sign is there because if you did have trouble with marijuana before, you might want to steer clear of the Delta 8. But for everybody else, this is such a wonderful product when it comes to creativity. It gets those wheels turning. It gets that creative side of you moving. I have heard people say time and time again how projects that had just been sitting there are now getting taken care of. They're being completed because of this Delta 8. And another thing from my perspective as a physician, the Delta 8 I have used to help treat significant pain. In my opinion, is going to be our answer to the opioid epidemic, because I've used this in so many patients now, and it has allowed me to reduce their pain medication and get some off of the opioids. And to me, that is such a winner because opioids are going to bind to your respiratory center in the brain. And so many accidental deaths have happened because of too many opioids. Opioids are supposed to be used for short terms. You're not supposed to use it for long terms. That's why after you've used it for so long, after you've used it for a few months, it seems like it doesn't work anymore because it's not working anymore. And you have to find a higher dose. We are not worried about that with the Delta 8 gummies. So for creativity and for significant pain. Our pure gummies here, they're gonna work, yes. As much of the THC as possible has been extracted so that we get 0.00% THC. It will work though. So those of you who have to do drug testing, don't think that we're leaving you out. Wakana has thought of it all. We have the pure products. It may be listed as broad spectrum. Pure and broad spectrum mean the same thing, but we do have a product for you. And yes, it will still help you with sleep. It'll help you with inflammation. And again, here we have our power gummies, which we spoke about already. Wakana also has some culinary items. We have 3 different wonderful spices that you can add to your food, which changes that taste. And I'm telling you, we have some amazing tasting seasonings here. We also have the CBD butter. And we have some infusion oils that can just kind of, spice up your drink. So I want to talk about this First Defense nasal spray because I'm telling you right now, we are suffering with so much chronic sinusitis, sinus flare up, COVID, flu. We still have flu cases right now, y'all. Our environment has changed. Using the First Defense nasal spray has been simply amazing. My chronic sinusitis people have significant results with immediate reduction in the congestion that they are feeling and relief of the sinus pressure. For those who are looking for something for the mouth, the essential defense is for our teeth and gums. But if you're looking for something for the areas surrounding you, we have hand sanitizer, we have sanitizers for the countertops. We even have a wonderful produce wash because everybody, please, please, please be washing your produce because this is where our parasites come from. If you're not being careful and washing these produce the way you need to, you can be giving yourself horrible parasites and bacteria that you really don't want. The great thing about our Royal Defense, it's alcohol free, kills up to 99.9% germs, and they last up to 24 hours. So that microban has a wonderful, wonderful competitor here. We have our own line of essential oils, and these oils are, again, of the highest quality. We have the peppermint oil. This is a winner for me, that peppermint oil, because the last time I had the congestion, and actually I had COVID not long ago. The great thing about it is, I believe because I was using my CBD products all along, all I had was a dry cough and a little bit of nasal congestion. Now for that nasal congestion, I rubbed some of that peppermint oil in my hand and inhaled it, and it was amazing how my congestion cleared up. Just doing that simple act there. Again, these are things that we don't learn in medical school, but essential oils are on the rise. And black seed oil, do not sleep on it because this thing here, antifungal, antibacterial, it actually also helps with the pancreas and increasing its ability to produce insulin. So that is another major hitter. We have other smokable hemps in the form of pre-rolls and vapes. Remember, it's the quickest way that we can get CBD into our system. It only takes 1 minute. We have our full sexual wellness line, the King of the Jungle, we talked about already, but we have the G-Spot Lube. We have a Cherry Bliss that's edible, and we have body butter that will be great for massages. We have the Power King Chaga. This is an awesome product because it's our only product that's actually a capsule, but it's the CBD combined with the chaga mushroom. Great health benefits, anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, anti-tumor growth. It will increase your immune system, but it can also help with lowering your blood sugar and your blood cholesterol levels. And for healthy hair, I have my hair in a ponytail today, but let me tell y'all, as you heard before, I lost my son. I lost my hair all across the front of my head, my hairline. And this product, the hair care line, is what brought my wonderful gold, my brownish, silverish strands back. Using the powered, the Power Hemp Powered Hair, putting the drops on my scalp where my hair was thin or where I had hair loss and rubbing it in, stimulated the follicles, relieved the inflammation in the follicles, and made my follicles healthier so that it could produce healthier, longer, stronger hair. That's exactly what it did. And for guys who are looking for something for their beard, there's the hair care system that we have, the SOS hair care system, which stands for Save Our Strands. It definitely changed the game. My hair stopped shedding so much. It was thicker, it was stronger, and it continued to grow longer. And I mean, it amazed my beautician because, of course, she saw all that I had gone through. But now When I comb my hair, there are a few strands because that's a natural occurrence. But I used to have so many strands from shedding that I felt like I could make my own wig. Not anymore. This is a great product to use. And if you are suffering from alopecia, you definitely need to get with the person who invited you to this presentation so that they can give you more information about our SOS hair care system. We have our phenomenal flat belly lifestyle. After my Papa Bear passed away, I gained 50 pounds. I really didn't care. I'm not gonna lie, because it was grief. I didn't care. I didn't care what was going on. I had my office manager to buy me a larger pair of uniforms because couldn't fit them. 50 pounds heavier. Last year around August, I actually needed to get a bigger pair because the bigger pair was tight. And at that time, I finally said, okay, you know what? That's enough of that. So I started with the Flat Belly Lifestyle Program. What does it give you? The initial phases, we started off with phase 1, and it gave a good amount of weight loss, boosted my energy, increased my metabolism. But Wakana being Wakana, they continue to improve what they already had. So I started losing weight, and then we had our phase 2 and phase 3 that came up. What do those do? It's not just about weight loss with phase 2 and phase 3. This is about aging reversal. This is about disease reversal. This is about reducing the amount of inflammation you have in your body so that it is difficult for disease to thrive. This is a game changer because with this program, you get a free bioscan, and that's what you see here at the bottom. This bioscan is using quantum magnetic physiology to look throughout your body. It is engaging with your cells, and it is telling you down to 10 cells in your organs what diseases are lurking there. And based on that, we can get you to get on this program and reverse that inflammation, make your organs better, make them healthier, allow you to live a better quality of life. Who doesn't want to reverse disease processes that are already going on? I mean, I definitely do. And as a physician, I want that for every single patient that I take care of. You don't have to live with organ damage for the rest of your life. I have so many diabetics whose sugars are under control, but their kidney function continues to dwindle downward to end-stage renal disease. Why? Because there's so many different inflammatory processes going on in our bodies because of the foods we eat. And the whole purpose of this program is getting us to a point where we're using these fabulous supplements here. The Eliminator, which is getting rid of mucus and parasites in our body. The Purifier, which is getting rid of toxins in our body and giving us a good balance of good and bad bacteria. And our Regenerator, which is giving us all the superfood nutrients we need to thrive. This is allowing us to transition from an acidic environment, which is high in inflammation, to a more alkaline environment, which is low in inflammation. And when you have low inflammation and an alkaline environment, it is difficult for disease to thrive there. The Flat Belly program allows us to get to our healthiest state. And with this program, you're getting a free bioscan, you're getting an ebook that gives you all recipes that you need, you get the grocery list, you get a personal coach, and you get online support. I'm telling you, this is gonna be revolutionary. And right now, Wakana has this wonderful special going on where we have our own Flat Belly brew, which is our coffee, which has Garcinia cambogia for fat burning. It has Caralluma fimbriata, which helps with appetite suppression. It has the green tea. It helps with the boosting of your metabolism. And I'm sorry, I said the Caralluma. The Caralluma is in our gummies, but the brew has the green tea and it has the Garcinia cambogia. So burning fat, carb craving, boosting your metabolism. And it's normally retailed at $49.95, and it is now on sale for only $34.95. So for those who like to get their coffee in every morning, we have a healthy way for you to get your coffee in and to boost your energy and your metabolism for some great healthy weight loss. So I am grateful for everybody who hung in there with me. It is a minute to the hour, and I want to open up the floor for any questions quickly. Let me go through here. Let's see. Yeah, I hear you, Erica. All right, so it doesn't appear as though I have any questions. Any questions, anyone? Hopefully this was helpful for all of you. You know, grief is near and dear to my heart because I went through it. And it's hard to understand what somebody is going through if you've never gone through it before. I've counseled so many people about grief that I thought I knew what was going on until I had to grieve the loss of my 9-year-old. It was then that I realized all the things that I had been telling people, because I told people those things. I remember sitting here in my room one night crying, thinking, I hate people coming and talking to me because they don't know what to say. Don't tell me God needed an angel. Don't tell me he's in a better place. I didn't want to hear any of that. But then it dawned on me, this is the thing you've been telling people all these years. And I felt so horrible. So hopefully this is helpful, because grief is real and grief will rob you of your life's purpose. CBD can to bind and relieve a lot of those inflammatory processes that lead to anxiety and lead to depression. But also we want to be able to help our people by saying the right things. And the right thing would be, I'm praying for you. The right thing would be, if you see something needs to be done, if you're visiting and you see that their dishes are piled up in the sink, it's not, baby, you don't let your house go down. How about just help them by cleaning up, sweep a little, wash some dishes, get them food? Because I tell you what, I wasn't cooking a thing. My husband is the cook around here. My husband is the one that provides. My husband was banged up and he couldn't do anything for a month. And people loved on us so much and they cooked for us every day. So if you have been impacted by anything I said tonight, I really want you to get with the person who invited you to this presentation so you can get started. Get started with products. These products are absolutely amazing. I definitely stand behind them. But if you have seen anything and you're like, wait, how can I partner like Dr. Kim partnered? Well, ask the person who invited you to this presentation so that they can give you the simple, short and sweet version of how to get started. It doesn't cost a lot of money, but I promise you, this is something that will positively affect your life for the rest of your life. Thank you all for being here with me. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Have a good night.